Hey everyone, welcome. This video is going to be a no BS guide to playing Spider-Man. I've been really enjoying Marvel Rivals and I hit Plat 2 in solo queue pretty early on, which at that time was the top 0.68% of players, so that's cool, I guess. Anyways, let's get right into this. I'm not going to sit here and spend 10 minutes telling you about how I invented all these things. I did not. So get into practice, then turn no ability cooldowns on. This allows you to do things much more easily without any cooldowns. Then go to your settings, go to keyboard, select Spider-Man specifically, and then turn off automatic swing. And then after that, the rest is preference until jump. So go down to jump and then put mouse wheel up for your jump as well. This will allow you to double jump much more easily. I'll show you in a second. Then I unbound my melee attack because it's melee anyways. And then I set get over here to E. And then I set my first ability to my mouse button 5. As long as they are different buttons, you're good to go. Okay, so now that that's done, let's get into this. So the first thing I'm going to show you is the double jump with the mouse wheel. So I flick my mouse wheel up and I automatically get a full double jump as opposed to the single jump with the space bar here. This opens up a few options for movement. Now since automatic swing is off, I can aim at the ground and zip like I did there, and then I can right click to cancel that and jump one more time for a bunny hop, like so. Okay, so let's do this slowly. Double jump, aim at the ground, zip, right click to cancel, and then jump again. So that gives you the bunny hop. This is a fundamental piece in his repertoire. So again, zip, cancel with right click, jump again for a bunny hop. Okay, so once you've mastered this, we can actually get into some of his combos. So first things first, when you right click an enemy with Spider-Man, you're going to mark them. This increases your damage, but also opens up the option to actually go into them with your E ability. Now the reason we bound our get over here, so the pull to a different button than going into them with E, is that now when they're marked, we can still pull them in. We can still choose to pull them in, or we can choose to go in towards them ourselves, right? So it gives us more freedom to choose. Double jumping also gives you access to that overhead strike, which does more damage than these regular melee attacks. So what you want to do is double jump and then cancel the double jump overhead strike into an uppercut by pressing F. So the full combo will go as follows. First thing you're going to want to do is mark the enemy with your right click, and you jump, you pull them in, overhead into F, into one more strike. Okay, so we're going to do this one more time slowly. So first thing you do is right click, you're going to mark them for more damage, then you jump, you pull them in while midair, then you jump again with mouse wheel, overhead into uppercut into one more strike. That's a full combo that'll one burst a regular enemy. So again, overhead cancel into F, and then you can kill them like that. So just practice doing this in the practice range here and get comfortable going between targets. So again, right click, jump, pull them in, double jump, overhead into uppercut, and then finish them off. The last strike, by the way, can be a left click or a right click. It's up to you. Now just be mindful that for a pull, you need to be precise, whereas with an E, as long as you aim in their general direction, it will pull you towards the enemy. So sometimes you might choose to actually go towards them to do a combo. And there is a combo for that too. So you go in, you can uppercut, melee, and then right click. So one more time, right click, you go in, you uppercut them, and you're going to melee once, left click, and then right click, and that'll finish them off too. So you do have a couple of options. Obviously pulling them in general is going to be more powerful, especially if you pull the enemy towards your team. It'll just make sure that you guys finish them off. Alright, so I recommend just going around the practice range like this and get used to all the button presses. Honestly, try to be as deliberate as you can possibly be. Sometimes pull them in, sometimes go towards them, so on and so forth. Get used to it, warm up. So the next thing I would recommend to practice any character really is to go to the basement in the practice range actually, where you can set some interesting parameters. So we're going to go to the parameters right here and just pick the hero you hate the most. In my case it's Hela, so I'm going to select Hela, and we're going to actually change this to mid-range. We're going to actually set them to dynamic so that they move around, and we're going to set their movement speed to quick, and we're going to change the timer to off so that there's no time limit. Then just hit start. And this will actually allow you to practice against an enemy you might genuinely run into in an actual game, right? And so you'll get more comfortable with an enemy that kind of moves around, with a moving target that kind of jumps to every now and then. We have set their movement speed to quick. You could even go as far as to set it to very quick if you want to challenge yourself further. And the point of this is really to warm up, get used to targeting enemies in a group, get used to targeting enemies who might be jumping, so on and so forth. And just get comfortable with your button presses and your sequences, and again, try to be as deliberate in your practice as possible, meaning sometimes you might want to pull the enemy in. Really deliberately do so. Sometimes you might want to practice the version of the combo that has you going towards them. Okay, so practice that one. Isolate each of those. Once you've done that, maybe what you want to practice with Spider-Man is just doing drive-bys, right? Where you kind of bunny hop through the enemy group and you just uppercut, which I'll show here in a second. Anyways, I found this was a really great way to warm up and to practice deliberately, to practice specific things by isolating them and repeating them against enemies who are moving, jumping around, so on and so forth. Especially once I started to challenge myself even further and setting their movement speed to very quick. This just makes it so that once you get into a real game with enemies who will have regular movement speeds, it's much easier to hit your targets and to be very calculated with what you're trying to do. Now, as far as practicing specific things with Spider-Man, again, you have this drive-by. So the way that works is you do a bunny hop, and as you cross the enemy, you just hit your F button. This is a pretty effective way to disrupt the enemy team and also finish off low enemies. You just kind of bunny hop through the enemy group, you uppercut them, they get knocked up. Whoever was low health probably gets eliminated entirely. And then you can just keep doing this. It's a fairly safe way to move through the enemy team, knock them up, maybe set them up for your teammates' abilities, so on and so forth. So I highly recommend coming down here with any character really, and especially Spider-Man obviously, and just kind of practicing against moving targets, set them to very quick if you can, turn the timer off and just have at it. This is a really great way to get used to a character's kit, their mechanics, and just generally improve your aim against moving targets in an isolated way. So once you've done all this, what I would recommend is then actually changing the practice settings to having your cooldowns set to regular again, so that you can get used to Spider-Man's timing. Obviously, a huge part of playing Spider-Man is managing your cooldowns effectively, especially that first ability, which kind of gives you the power to pick out an enemy and isolate them and eliminate them as quickly as possible. So that's about it for this guide. I hope it was useful. If it was, please consider liking and subscribing, and I'll be making more very soon. Thank you.